Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakumullah khair for making an effort to come here. I for coming over here, inshallah. May Allah reward you for this effort. And in continuation, which what our brother Mustafa said, and in continuation with what we saw in the video, I want to remind you of the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he said, "Man asbaha wa lam yahtam bi amri al-muslimin, falaysa minhum." That whosoever wakes up and he is not concerned about the affairs of the Muslims, he is not from them. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith, he is saying that it's the duty of every Muslim to be concerned about his Muslim brother. And it is not that the Muslim brother needs to be just your neighbor. It could be your neighbor, it could be the one who is 100 kilometers away, or 1,000, or even 10,000. And we know from the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً, that the mu'mins, the believers, are brothers. So for us, the Muslim in Hyderabad, or the Muslim in Pakistan, or the Muslim in Kashmir, or the Muslim in Syria, he is a brother to us. And they're all brothers to us. And that is why we are here. And we are here to discuss about them. We are here to understand the problem and how can we solve this issue. And let us remember, as our brother explained, that Sham, and that is the land where Syria is located, is a land which is blessed. And there are so many ahadith. There is not one, two, there are tens of ahadith which talk about the significance of this blessed land. In fact, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Inna al-iman idha kathurat al-fitan," that the iman, when the fitnas have increased, will be in Sham. In fact, you know that Isa alayhi salam, according to some hadiths, will come in Dimashq. He will come in Damascus. It is there he will come and take on to Dajjal. Such is the blessedness of this land. But as we've been discussing, that this land for a long time has been ruled by kufr. And when the Muslims stood up for the sake of ruling by Islam, so the Muslims have always been asking to rule that land by Islam. But when the Muslims started calling for it, whenever they have called for it, the oppressive rulers have killed the Muslims. So we know in 1980s, when the Muslims in the city of Homs stood up against the ruler, Hafid al-Assad, he butchered the Muslims. You know how many? Not 1, 10, 20, 40,000 Muslims. He butchered them. In Hama, not in Homs, in Hama. That is where he killed 40,000 Muslims. And that is where even now the whole protest started from, where people stood up and asked for implementation of Islam. It is in the land of Hama and Homs where people again stood up and started calling for the implementation of Islam. And they started saying that we want to implement Islam and we want this regime to go away. And when they started saying this, the government sent down their military forces to arrest the people, to torture them and to kill them. And such is the situation today. And much of what is happening. But just to let you know, right now while I'm talking, right now, the city of Halab, very well known city. It is a city which has 2.5 million Muslims. A big chunk of the Muslims are being continuously bombarded by the forces. A big chunk of them. While we are talking, MIT fighter jets are sending down the missiles in the city of Halab. And many of these cities have been completely destroyed. The city of Dar'a, many of the buildings have been destroyed. Many buildings. In fact, they say there is no building that is intact. There is no building that is intact. All due to these missiles they have been firing. And the only mistake the Muslims are doing, according to them that's a mistake. That is, they say, La ilaha illallah. And they say we do not just want to say La ilaha illallah, we want to abide by La ilaha illallah. We want to follow La ilaha illallah. We want to implement La ilaha illallah in our lives. We want to implement the Quran and the Sunnah in our lives. And while Bashar, who is a Nusayri Alawi, he does not believe in this. And as our brother was explaining, Their aqaid are absolutely from kufr. In fact, from their aqaid is the aqidah that Ali radiallahu anh was Allah himself on the dunya. Allah came to dunya in the face of Ali. And Ali radiallahu anh made Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam as the spokesman for himself. So Rasulullah is under Ali. And Salman is the door of ilm. Salman has all the ilm. He is the Bab al-ilm. This is their aqidah. Nobody considers them as Muslims. They are just simply from the disbelievers. They could try to say they are Shia because some people can confuse them. But in fact, nobody ever considered them from Muslims. Always they have been known from mushriks and somebody who is a disbeliever. Let us understand that the problem we are facing in Syria, that what is this situation, how does Islam address it? And not just Syria, the problem is for the Muslims are facing is not only in Syria. If you look even in India, you will find the situation in Assam where hundreds of Muslims are being killed. In the past 2 months, we've seen hundreds of Muslims have been killed and thousands have been driven away from their homes. And in Burma and in China as well, we've come to know that many Muslims have not been fasting there. Why? Because China has issued a rule that no Muslim can fast. So any government employee is not allowed to fast. Any student who is going to schools, he is not allowed to go to the masjid. This is the rule there. The situation of the Muslims, wherever you look, we see is a situation of sorrow. We see the Muslims, wherever we will look in the world, that the kuffar are coming and attacking them. Not only the Muslims, they are now attacking those things that are closer to the heart of the Muslim. They are attacking the Prophet of Islam, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They write books on him. They make cartoons out of him. They insult the Quran. They burn the Quran. They put the Quran in the flush. When all of this is happening, the question arises, why is it this is happening? Why is it despite that we are one of the greatest religions, in fact the greatest deen in this dunya, despite us having 1.8 billion people, we're still the ones that are lowly and the ones who are oppressed. And the hadith of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam actually explains this. This is a hadith narrated by Thawban, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, يُوشَكُ الْأُمَمْ أَن تُدَاعَ عَلَيْكُمْ كَمَا تَدَاعَ الْأَكَلَ إِلَى قَصْعَتِهَا. That very soon there will come a time the people will invite others to come and feast on you or come and attack on you, like the people call each other for having food. And the Sahaba asked to Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, that وَمِنْ قِلَّةٍ نَحْنُ يَوْمَئِذٍ, is it because our number will be few? The Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, he said, بَلْ أَنْتُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ كَثِيرٌ. No, in fact you will be many. Your count will be many. Like today, you will be thousands and millions and millions. And Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam continues, he says, وَلَكِنَّكُمْ غُثَاءً كَغُثَاءِ السَّيْلِ, that you will be like the froth on the ocean. Your value will be like the froth on the ocean. The air, when it blows, it takes away this froth, right? It has no value. It moves away with the wind. And Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he continues and he says, Allah will take the fear of you from the hearts of the enemy and will cast wahan in your heart. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhu asked, وَمَا الْوَهَنْ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ, what is this wahan which you are speaking about? Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam replied, he said, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا وَكَرَاهَةُ الْمَوْتِ, the love of the dunya and the fear from the maut. That you will start loving the dunya and the dunya will become important for you. And when the dunya becomes important for a man, he obviously starts hating death because he's concerned about the dunya. He loves the mal, he loves his children, he loves his life, he loves the pleasurable and comfortable life, he loves his cars, and then that becomes difficult for him. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam says that this is what is the reason why the kuffar will be able to overpower you and will be able to oppress you and will be able to kill you. And let us understand, this is indeed when the Ummah remained silent, when the Sharia, while the Sharia was being discarded, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam's warning came true. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam in a hadith, he says, and this is the first hadith of Musnad Ahmad, narrated by Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, إِنَّ النَّاسَ إِذَا رَأَوُا الْمُنْكَرَ فَلَمْ يُغَيِّرُوهُ. If the people, they see evil happening, and if they don't change it, أَوْشَكَ عَلَيْهِمْ أَن يَعُمَّهُ اللَّهُ بِعِقَابِهِمْ. It becomes very soon, they should wait now, Allah's azab will come. And the azab of Allah, we know, will not come like it came during the time of Ad and Thamud. The azab of Allah now does not come in that format. Why? Because Rasulullah made dua for us. He said, "Oh Allah, do not destroy my ummah like through the azab of Ad and Thamud." So Allah makes azab on this ummah. How? By giving you rulers, who are like you. So if you left the deen, then Allah gives you rulers who also are away from the deen. Okay? This is the situation. This is the reason. So let us understand that the real reason why the ummah is being oppressed, or why the ummah is in this situation, is because it has got itself away from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that it is not implementing the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the solution, we need to understand, is not by returning to the kuffar, like some people are saying, that the United Nations will solve the problem, or that America will solve the problem, or Britain will solve the problem. Because we need to understand, it is the kuffar who in origin created this problem. They occupied the Muslim lands, and then divided them according to their plans, and then gave these lands to their loyal rulers. And these rulers did not implement Islam. They were away from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let us understand, the West will not solve our problem. For us, the only solution is to return to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is only there that the solution lies. So we will see that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam actually had a solution for these things. So we see that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, after him, that the kuffar tried their level best to attack the Muslims, but they never won. They never won. They made wars after wars. They made Badr, they made Uhud. During the time of Rasulullah, there were hundreds of battalions, and there were a couple of wars. And similarly, after Rasulullah, Abu Bakr's time, Umar's time, Uthman's time, all during this period, they kept on making wars over wars. But the Muslims never lost. The Muslims kept on progressing. The Muslims never lost against the crusades they had. The whole of Europe came to attack Islam and Muslims. But the Muslims never lost. Why? Because of a hadith. The hadith explains, إِنَّمَا الْإِمَامُ جُنَّةٌ يُقَاتَلُ مِنْ وَرَائِهِ وَيُتَّقَى بِهِ. That the Imam is a shield behind which the Ummah protects itself and fights from behind him. So it's the Imam, the shield due to which the Ummah was able to protect itself. Who was this Imam? Who was the shield? The Amir al-Mu'mineen, the Khalifatul Muslimin. Ever till the time the Muslims had a shield, the kuffar could not overtake them. Only when did the shield become weak, they were able to capture the land of the Muslims. They were able to conquer them and take away their resources and kill the Muslims and implement the rules. So let us understand, the real solution lies in returning back to the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and implementing the very same thing which Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam implemented. We will see that the kuffar tried to insult Rasulullah. They tried to make a play about Rasulullah and Aisha radiallahu anha, but they were not successful. Not because we made a protest, not because we wrote to the United Nations, no. Because the Khalifatul Muslimin did one thing. He called the French ambassador, because France was trying to do this coup, and I'm talking about the 18th century, even when the Khilafah was weaker during that time. And he called him and he said, Wallahi, I will send an army which loves its death more than you love your wives and your wine. And France did not do this play. And Britain tried it. And he called the ambassador of Britain and put the sword on his neck. And he said, Wallahi, if it was not that the ambassadors are respected and they are not killed, I would have sent your neck back home in Britain. And if you do not stop, I will ask the Muslims of India to do jihad against you. Because Britain had occupied India at that time. I'll ask them to do jihad against you, and I will then see how you stop that, or you face those Muslims. So they were never able to insult Islam. But today they can make caricatures, they can insult Rasulullah, they can insult the Ummahatul Mu'minat, the Sahaba, and not only that, the Quran and the blood of the Muslim has become free. As if it has no value. Although Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to say, and he used to, when he was making tawaf, and he said, Ma azamaki, he was saying how great you are, how beloved you are. He's telling to the Kaaba, how esteemed you are, but the blood of the Muslim in the sight of Allah is more than the destruction of the Kaaba. This is the value of the blood of Muslim. So let us understand the true solution for the problem that we are facing is to return to the Imam, is to have an Imam, is to have a shield. Imagine, brothers, imagine if Abdullah al-Saud, this ruler who calls himself as the custodian of the two holy mosques, or if Morsi, Muhammad al-Morsi, who calls himself as the ruler of the Muslims in Misr, if they were to only send their armies, Wallahi, Bashar will not even live one day. Either he will die at their hands or he will run away. Wallahi, this is the situation. But it is our rulers who are supporting them. It is due to our rulers that they are insincere and they do not want to stand up for Islam, and do not want to stand up for Muslims. They just want to send their money only, but they are not standing for Islam. What Islam and Muslims need is not your money, it needs men. It needs you to stand up and implement the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So let us understand, the real solution lies in changing these rulers. Either these rulers become sincere to Allah and His Rasul, or they should be changed. This is the real solution. And we should know, although these times are times of difficulty, that Rasul Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. That so do not become weak and do not be sad, and you will be superior if indeed you are believers. And we testify to Allah, we are believers. And inshallah we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let us down. And inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala He will very soon give us the victory. But provided we are making an effort in the right direction. Before I end, I give you a certain points which we should take back home. Our session today should not be a session whereby we say that we learned something about Syria, or we learned something about what is happening in Asham. Rather, we should take back some lessons. Number one, that we know now that it is a responsibility for every Muslim to be concerned about his Muslim brother, wherever he is. So from now onwards, we will carefully monitor the problems that our Muslim brothers are facing, be it in Syria, be it in Burma, be it in China, wherever they are. And we will be concerned about them, and we will try our level best to discuss about it and make a public opinion and awareness about it in our society. Number two, that we will understand how the Quran and the Sunnah solves this problem. So we will understand what are the ahkam that the Quran and the Sunnah gives regarding this. How does Islam politically resolve this problem? How does the system of Khilafah, how does the Khalifa resolve this problem? And how in the past did the Islamic Khilafah resolve this problem? So we will understand this. Number three, that we will collectively stand with our brothers around the world who are calling for unity and who are calling for the establishment of Islam. And last but not least, we will make dua. And this is last but not least, we will make dua for our brothers. And we will make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He gives the shuhada, the Jannah. And we make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He does not delay in the establishment of Islam and the Khilafah in Syria, inshallah. And these are the 4 lessons I want you to take back home. And before I end, I want to just tell you that inshallah they're going to have another video for 5 minutes. And after that we will have the full inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله ربي من كل ذنب وأتوب إليه. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.